The ultimatum, the morning sun over New York City, disappeared without warning. One moment, millions of people were walking to work under clear blue skies. The next moment, darkness fell across Manhattan as something enormous blocked out the light. Emergency sirens began wailing across the city as people looked up in terror at the massive ships hovering overhead. President Elena Vasquez was reviewing economic reports in the Oval Office when her chief of staff burst through the door without knocking. The look of pure panic on his face told her everything she needed to know before he spoke a single word. "Madame President, we have a situation. Multiple alien vessels have appeared over major cities worldwide. They're huge, bigger than anything we've ever seen." Elena stood up slowly, her mind racing through the protocols they had secretly practiced for this exact scenario. After 20 years of preparation, the moment had finally arrived. She walked to the window, but Washington, D.C. looked normal. The aliens had chosen their targets carefully. "How many ships?" she asked, her voice steady despite the chaos erupting around her. 47 massive vessels, positioned over New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, Beijing, and other major population centers. Each ship is approximately 3 kilometers long. Our satellites estimate they could each carry hundreds of thousands of troops. Elena nodded and pressed the emergency button on her desk. Within minutes, she was descending in a high-speed elevator toward the Global Defense Coalition Command Center, built secretly beneath the White House over the past 2 decades. The command center was a marvel of human engineering and alien technology combined. Banks of quantum computers processed data at impossible speeds. Holographic displays showed real-time images of the alien fleet. Military officers from every major nation worked side by side, speaking multiple languages, but united in their purpose. Admiral Cain Rodriguez, the commanding officer of humanity's most classified military project, approached the president with a grim expression. His weathered face showed the stress of 2 decades spent preparing for this day. "Madame President, the Vorthan Empire has made contact. They're demanding we surrender unconditionally within 48 hours. Elena looked at the main display screen, which showed the alien flagship hovering over Times Square. The ship was a dark metallic gray with strange blue lights pulsing along its hull. It looked like a massive sword hanging over the heart of humanity's greatest city. "What exactly are they demanding?" she asked Dr. Lisa Park, Earth's leading xenobiologist and the woman who had first decoded alien transmissions 20 years ago, stepped forward with a translated message. Her hands shook slightly as she read from her tablet. "They call themselves the Vorthan Empire. They've conquered over 800 worlds across the galaxy. They're offering humanity a choice: surrender completely and become a slave species, or face total extinction. They claim no species has ever successfully resisted them." Elena studied the faces around her. These were the best and brightest minds humanity had to offer. They had spent 2 decades preparing for this moment, ever since the first alien probe had been captured and reversed. "Admiral Rodriguez, what is the status of Project Crimson?" The Admiral's expression shifted from grim to determined. "All systems are operational, Madame President. We have been ready for deployment for the past 3 years. The Crimson Fleet consists of 1,200 vessels of various classes, all equipped with adaptive technology based on captured alien systems." Elena walked to the center of the command center, where a 3-dimensional hologram showed the positions of every alien ship around Earth. She had dreamed of this moment and feared it in equal measure. Humanity's greatest test was about to begin. The communication system crackled to life with an alien voice. The translation came through clearly, spoken in perfect English with a cold, mechanical tone. Humans of the planet you call Earth, I am Supreme Commander Thakma of the Vorthan Empire. Your primitive world has been selected for incorporation into our glorious dominion. We have studied your species for the past solar cycle. You are violent and chaotic, but you show potential as laborers and soldiers. Alina took the microphone, knowing her next words would determine the fate of every human being alive. Supreme Commander Thakma, I am Alina Vasquez, President of the United Earth Coalition. We have received your message and understand your offer. Excellent. Then you will begin immediate surrender procedures. Disable all military installations and await our landing forces. Alina looked around the command center one last time. Every officer, every scientist, every technician was watching her. She thought about her daughter studying at university, about her grandson taking his first steps, about every human being who deserved to live free. Commander Thakma, our answer is no. Silence filled the communication channel for several long moments. When the alien voice returned, it carried a tone of disbelief. Repeat your response, human leader. Our translators must have malfunctioned. Our answer is no. Humanity will not surrender. We will not kneel. We will not become your slaves. This time the silence lasted even longer. When Thakma spoke again, his voice was filled with cold fury. You fool! Do you not see our fleet above your cities? Each of our ships carries enough firepower to destroy your largest population centers. We could eliminate your entire species within hours. Admiral Rodriguez stepped beside Alina, speaking into the microphone with quiet confidence. Commander, we see your ships. We understand your capabilities. Our answer remains the same. Impossibile. No primitive species has ever refused our offer. After seeing our power, you must reconsider before we demonstrate why resistance is futile. Dr. Park leaned forward to speak. Commander Thakma, we have indeed considered your offer very carefully. We have studied your empire's history and methods. We know exactly what surrender would mean for our people. Alina continued. We choose to fight. We choose freedom over slavery. We choose death over submission. The alien commander's voice became a snarl. Then you choose extinction. We will give you 24 hours to reconsider. When that time expires, we will begin cleansing your world. Your cities will burn. Your oceans will boil. Your species will be erased from galactic history. The communication cut off, leaving the command center in tense silence. Alina looked around at her team, seeing determination rather than fear in their eyes. Admiral, begin deploying the Crimson Fleet. All stealth protocols are authorized. Want our ships in position before the Vorthon realize what's happening. Admiral Rodriguez smiled for the first time that day. It will be my pleasure, Madam President. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, massive doors that had been sealed for decades began to open. Similar doors opened beneath the Sahara Desert, under the ice of Antarctica, and on the hidden side of the moon. Humanity's greatest secret was about to be revealed. The Crimson Fleet had been built using a combination of human ingenuity and alien technology captured from crashed probes and defeated scout ships over the past 20 years. Each vessel was smaller than the massive Vorthan ships, but faster, more maneuverable, and equipped with weapons specifically designed to exploit weaknesses in alien shielding systems. Captain Maria Santos stood on the bridge of the CNS Defiance, one of the first ships to launch from the Colorado facility. She had trained for this moment her entire adult life, ever since joining the secret space program at age 18. All systems green, Captain, reported her tactical officer. Stealth field is operating at maximum efficiency. The Vorthon won't detect us until we want them to. Maria looked at the view screen showing the alien ships hanging over Earth like dark clouds. Each enemy vessel was 10 times the size of her ship, but she felt no fear. The Defiance and its crew were ready. Commander Jake Thompson piloted his fighter squadron from Lunar Base, hidden on the far side of the moon. His 24 ships were the fastest humanity had ever built, capable of accelerations that would kill an unprotected human pilot. But Jake and his pilots wore specially designed suits that allowed them to survive forces that would crush normal people. Crimson Squadron, this is base command. You are authorized for combat deployment. Show these aliens what human pilots can do. Jake smiled inside his helmet. Copy that, base command. Crimson Squadron is ready to dance. Across the solar system, 1,200 human ships moved into position. The Vorthon had expected to face a primitive species with crude weapons and no space-based defenses. They were about to discover just how wrong they were. President Vasquez returned to the surface, knowing she needed to address the world. Billions of people were watching the alien ships with terror, not knowing that humanity had been preparing for this day for 2 decades. She stood before the cameras, looking directly into the lens with unwavering confidence. My fellow humans, today we face the greatest challenge in our species' history. An alien empire has demanded our surrender and threatened our extinction. They believe we are primitive and weak. They believe we will kneel before their superior technology. They believe we have no choice but to submit to their will. She paused, letting her words sink in around the world. They are wrong about everything. For 20 years, we have been preparing for this day. We have built a fleet that rivals any force in the galaxy. We have trained soldiers who fear nothing and will fight for every human life. We have proven that when humanity is threatened, we do not surrender. We do not kneel. We fight. As if on cue, the first ships of the Crimson Fleet became visible in Earth's skies, their red hull markings gleaming as they emerged from stealth mode. The sight of human ships rising to meet the alien threat sent waves of hope around the world. Alina concluded her speech with words that would be remembered for generations. To the Vorthon Empire, we say this: you came here expecting to find sheep. Instead, you have found wolves. You wanted us to kneel. Instead, you will learn why that was the greatest mistake your empire has ever made. The 24-hour countdown had begun. Soon, the galaxy would discover what happened when humanity was pushed too far. Asterisk, the unleashing the countdown reached 0 at exactly 14 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. Supreme Commander Thakmar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Annihilator, watching the blue world below with cold satisfaction. In his 3 centuries of service to the Vorthon Empire, he had conquered 47 worlds. Not one species had ever refused their generous offer of slavery. Begin the demonstration, he commanded his weapons officer. Target the human city. Called London. One precise strike to show them our power. Energy gathered in the massive ship's main cannon, a weapon capable of melting entire city blocks. The beam lanced downward toward Earth, bright enough to be seen from space. But the beam never reached its target. Instead, it struck an invisible barrier 3 kilometers above London and dispersed harmlessly into space. Thakmar stared in disbelief at the tactical display. What happened? Why did our weapon fail? His tactical officer, a veteran of 50 conquests, studied his instruments with confusion. "Sir, the humans appear to have some form of planetary shield generator. Our sensors detect massive energy sources beneath their major population centers." Before Thakma could respond, his communications officer shouted a warning. "Supreme Commander, we have multiple contacts emerging from the planet's surface. Hundreds of ships approaching at high speed." The main view screen lit up with images that made Thakma's blood run cold. Sleek red ships were rising from hidden bases all over Earth, their hulls gleaming with energy fields he didn't recognize. More ships emerged from behind the moon, and even more dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. "Impossible," he whispered. "The humans are primitive. They barely have spaceflight capability." Captain Maria Santos smiled grimly as the CNS Defiance cleared Earth's atmosphere and accelerated toward the nearest Vorthan cruiser. Her ship's AI had been analyzing alien shield frequencies for the past hour, finding weaknesses that human weapons could exploit. "Target their port shield generator," she ordered her weapons officer. "Fire quantum torpedoes, full spread." The Defiance unleashed a barrage of weapons that struck the alien ship's shields like hammers hitting glass. The Vorthan shields flared and collapsed, leaving the massive vessel defensively vulnerable for the first time in centuries. "Impossible," Thakma roared as he watched his cruiser's shields fail. "Our shields are impenetrable." Admiral Rodriguez's voice came through every human communication channel, calm and confident. "All ships, this is Fleet Command. Engage at will. Show them what human ingenuity can accomplish." Commander Jake Thompson led his fighter squadron in a diving attack on the Vorthon flagship. The alien ship's point defense systems tried to track his fighters, but they were designed to target large, slow-moving vessels, not the lightning-fast human fighters. Crimson leader to all fighters, attack pattern Delta. Go for their weapon systems first, then their engines. Let's clip this bird's wings. The human fighters swarmed over the massive alien ship like angry wasps, their precise laser fire targeting critical systems. Each fighter pilot had trained for years in virtual simulations based on captured alien technology. They knew exactly where to hit for maximum damage. Thakma watched in horror as his mighty flagship shuddered under the assault. Damage reports flooded in from every section. The humans were systematically destroying his ship's offensive capabilities. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "Their technology is centuries behind ours." Dr. Lisa Park's voice came through the alien communication systems, speaking directly to Thakma. "Commander, you made a critical error in your intelligence gathering. You studied our civilian technology and assumed that represented our full capabilities." On Earth, Dr. Park continued her explanation from the Global Defense Command Center, knowing the alien commander could hear every word. "For 20 years, we've been capturing your scout ships and studying your technology. We've learned how your shields work, how your weapons function, how your ships are built. We've taken your technology and improved it with human creativity and determination." The battle raged across Earth's orbital space. Human ships, outnumbered 4-1, used tactics the aliens had never encountered. They struck fast and faded away, hit critical targets, and vanished into stealth fields. Coordinated attacks that overwhelmed alien defenses through precision rather than brute force. Captain Santos watched as 3 of her ships surrounded a Vorthon cruiser. "Execute Wolfpack Maneuver Gamma. Take out their engines, then their weapons, then their shields. Leave the crew alive but helpless." The human ships attacked in perfect coordination, each targeting a different system on the alien vessel. Within minutes, the massive cruiser was drifting helplessly in space, its crew unharmed but completely unable to fight. Thakma realized with growing horror that his fleet was being systematically dismantled. The humans weren't trying to destroy his ships completely. They were disabling them, capturing them, turning the Vorthan Empire's own vessels against themselves. "Sir," his tactical officer reported with disbelief in his voice, "we're losing ships faster than our shields can recharge. The humans know exactly where to hit us for maximum effectiveness with minimum energy expenditure." Commander Thompson's fighter squadron had disabled the flagship's main weapons. He opened a channel to the alien bridge. "Supreme Commander Thakma, this is Commander Jake Thompson of the Earth Defense Forces. Your main guns are offline, your shields are failing, and your engines are damaged. I strongly suggest you consider surrender." "Surrender," Thakma snarled. "The Vorthan Empire does not surrender to primitives." "Then let me clarify something for you," Jake replied calmly. "We're not primitives, we're humans. And humans have a saying, don't start a fight unless you're prepared to finish it." The human fighters resumed their attack, targeting the flagship's shield generators with surgical precision. Each strike was calculated to cause maximum disruption with minimal collateral damage. The aliens were learning that humans fought to win, not to destroy for the sake of destruction. President Vasquez watched the battle from the command center, seeing the tactical display that showed human forces systematically defeating one of the galaxy's most feared military powers. But she knew the real victory wasn't in the battle itself. "Open a channel to the Vorthan fleet," she ordered. When the communication link was established, she spoke directly to every alien ship in the system. "This is President Elena Vasquez of Earth. Supreme Commander Thakma, your invasion fleet is defeated. Your ships are disabled or destroyed. Your crew members are being rescued and will be treated according to galactic humanitarian protocols." She paused, knowing her next words would be broadcast across the galaxy by Vorthon survivors. "But more importantly, Commander, you and your empire need to understand something about humanity. We are not a species that kneels. We are not a species that surrenders. We are not a species that accepts slavery as an alternative to death." Admiral Rodriguez added his voice to the broadcast. "Every species you have conquered in the past chose submission because they believed survival was more important than freedom. Humans believe freedom is more important than survival." Captain Santos, her ship, now positioned directly above the crippled Vorthan flagship, continued the message. "We spent 20 years preparing for this day, not because we wanted war, but because we understood that some things are worth fighting for. Our children's future is worth fighting for. Our right to determine our own destiny is worth fighting for." Commander Thompson, leading the recovery operations for disabled alien ships, added his perspective. "We're not going to execute your crews or enslave your people. We're going to repair your ships and send you home with a message for your empire." Dr. Park concluded the transmission with words that would echo across the galaxy. "Tell every species in the Vorthan Empire that they have a choice. They don't have to remain slaves forever. Humanity has proven that resistance is possible. Humanity has proven that freedom can be defended. Humanity has proven that no empire, no matter how powerful, is invincible when it faces people who refuse to kneel." The battle was over within 6 hours. Of the 47 Vorthan ships that had arrived to conquer Earth, 31 were captured intact, 12 were disabled but repairable, and only 4 were completely destroyed when their crews chose to fight to the death rather than surrender. More importantly, over 90% of the alien crews survived. They would return to the Vorthan Empire with first-hand accounts of humanity's capabilities and, more importantly, humanity's values. Thakma found himself a prisoner aboard his own flagship, now under human control. Captain Santos personally escorted him to what had been his ready room, where he would await transport back to Vorthon space. "I don't understand," he said, his voice filled with confusion rather than anger. "You have defeated us completely. Why are you not executing us? Why are you not enslaving us as we would have done to you?" Captain Santos looked at the alien commander with something approaching pity. "Because that's not who we are. We fight when we have to, but we don't become monsters to defeat monsters. We're sending you home because we want your people to know that there's another way to live." She turned toward the door, then paused. "Supreme Commander, when you return to your empire, I want you to deliver a message. Tell them that Earth stands ready to defend any species that chooses freedom over slavery. Tell them that humanity will never kneel, and will help others learn to stand." 3 days later, the repaired Vorthan ships departed Earth's solar system, carrying their crews home to spread word of humanity's victory. But they carried something more important than news of a military defeat. They carried proof that the Vorthan Empire was not invincible, that resistance was possible, and that somewhere in the galaxy, a species had chosen death over slavery and won. President Vasquez addressed the world one final time from the steps of the White House. With the captured alien ships visible in the sky behind her, today humanity passed its greatest test. We proved that courage, preparation, and determination can triumph over seemingly impossible odds. We proved that freedom is worth any price. We proved that humans will never, ever kneel. She looked up at the stars, knowing that across the galaxy, enslaved species were hearing about Earth's victory and beginning to dream of their own freedom. To every being in the galaxy who dreams of freedom, who yearns to stand tall, who refuses to accept that slavery is their destiny, we say this: you are not alone. Earth stands with you. Humanity stands with you. And together, we will ensure that no species ever has to choose between slavery and extinction again. The speech was picked up by alien communication networks and broadcast across hundreds of worlds. Within months, the first rebellion began in the Vorthan Empire. Within years, the empire itself would fall, not to superior military force, but to the simple idea that freedom was worth fighting for. And it all began because humanity refused to kneel.